Hello there. Today I'm going to tell you a story about innovation. But it's not just a story about innovation. It's also a story about how you maximize your odds when things have gone completely to hell. And first, let's go back quite a number of years because this happened a long time ago, luckily. It was on a Tuesday, and I was checking my mail because that's sometimes what one does when one is an entrepreneur. And then at 9 o'clock in the evening on a random Tuesday, I get the mail. And it basically says, "Hello, Claus. Me and 80 kids are really looking forward till tomorrow. We'll see you at 9 o'clock. Greetings," I don't know, Lisbeth or something like that, some name. And I thought, uh-oh, I don't know who this person is. I don't know what I've forgotten. There's nothing in my calendar. I searched my mails. I searched my text messages. I could find nothing. There was no contact number. There was just a message that says, "Me and 80 kids are looking forward to tomorrow. See you at 9. And a name I didn't recognize. I thought, this is not good. So I had a couple of options. I could mail back, say, "Hey, I'm kind of missing a few details." And I thought, who's going to check their mail at after 9 in the evening if they have any sort of regular job? Well, I could also just send a mail and come clean and say, "Hey, I have no idea who you are. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I've forgotten something. And if I have, I'm really, really sorry." But then I thought, then not only will I have played my hand and there's no way out of it, I'll also have let these people down. So I thought, let's see what we can do. Then I called two friends, two of my freelancers, and said, "Guys, I need you tomorrow. Are you available?" Luckily, they were available. I canceled all of my engagements for the next day. And then I asked one of them, Peter, to meet me in Copenhagen Airport in Denmark at 6 a.m. in the morning. And you think, why the airport? Why 6 a.m.? Well, back then, I was doing a lot of events. It was a role-playing event I was hired for. Probably. That was at least my best assumption. And that meant that I knew I needed some gear for that. And I needed a rental car. And I needed somebody to drive it because I had neither car nor driver's license. Therefore, enter Peter. The airport? Well, it's because in Copenhagen, at that time, I don't know how it is now, you couldn't rent a car before 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it would still take some time with the paperwork and so on. So the odds of being anywhere by 9 with a car that you rented in the morning was pretty slim. The airport, however, if you paid an extra charge, I think it was like 40 euros, something like that, then you could rent it from 6:30. So I said, "Peter, meet me in the airport at 6 o'clock, then we'll be the first people. If not the first people, we'll at least be in the line to rent a car." I said, "The other freelancer, Jakob, you go out to our warehouse and we'll meet you there at 8:30. And I want you to pack a monster costume." This was a role-playing event, so of course we needed a monster costume. Who doesn't? We had a lovely Minotaur suit, which Jakob was going to pack. And then you need to pack swords and costumes, belts and simple uniforms for 80 kids and some stuff for us as adults. Easy peasy. Again, no idea what was going on, but stacking the odds. It gets to the morning. I meet Peter in the airport. Peter's, of course, laughing because I have no clue what's going on. I say, yeah, that's great, but you're right. But let's see if we can't salvage this, or at least try. We drive out to the warehouse. We pack the stuff. And then at this point, it's about 9:30. We've packed the stuff into the car real quick. Jakob asks, "Where do we go?" And I say, "I don't know, because I don't know where the job is." And they say, "What? You don't know where the job is?" Say, "No, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to drive northwest because Copenhagen," and I don't expect most of you to know Copenhagen geography, but if you drive to the northwest in Copenhagen, out the highways, then there is a sweet spot between a couple of highways, kind of northwest of the town, where you are within, let's just call it maximum odds station. There's a place where you can go, and that increases the range you can be at within like wooded areas. And I thought this is probably going to happen in a forest because many of our jobs did. Not all, but many. So I thought, let's place ourselves so that when they find out we're late and they call, we'll have the best possible odds of reaching the destination. Now, had the job been to the southeast, in that part of Copenhagen, we would have been completely lost. There would be no chance of anything. Had it been far from the city, also no chance. But there was a slim chance, or a decent chance, that it was going to be like this general area. So we drove out there, trying to hit a certain kind of a certain section of the road at about 9 o'clock, placing us in the best possible situation if the dice came up right and it was somewhere nearby. It gets to be 9 o'clock, it gets to be 9:05, and my phone rings. And at this point, I had a mobile phone, but this was not a smartphone. It couldn't do all sorts of fancy stuff. And I didn't know who these people were, and I didn't know what their numbers were. So the phone rings, I take it, this is Claus. I say, hey, it's Lisbeth, whatever her name was. We don't see you. Are you lost? I say, yeah, I'm really sorry. We're lost. I think we took a wrong turn somewhere. I know that's really not cool, but can you maybe give me the precise address so we don't make the same mistake twice? Again, here, I still don't know where we're located. I just know I'm getting an address now. And Lisbeth says, oh, sure, you probably took the left of this forest or whatever she says. She's nice and kind, as people are. I hang up. I call my sister, who's living at home at this time, because I know she's going to be next to a computer. And I say, Anne, can you type in this address for me and this other address, which is where we are, this place on the highway? I need to know the shortest route to get from A to B. Again, no smartphone, so I couldn't just Google it, but I had to get manual address and manual kind of guidance. And my sister, God bless her, said, yes, okay, I'll help out. She did the thing. She called me back a minute or two later, and then she gave me a route map, and it was like 15 minutes away. So bing, we were now in the game. We were still late. We still didn't know what was going on, but we were in the game. The gamble had paid off. Jakob turns the car. We drive out there, maybe speeding a little, but not too much. We got there safely. All was good. And then we arrive, and of course, it turns out that there's something that looks like teachers or pedagogues and a lot of kids. Of course, we'd heard about the 80 kids, and they're a little bit annoyed that we're 20 minutes late because, of course, I call them and say, okay, now we find it. We're on the way. Sorry. We hit it. We're 20 minutes late. That's not cool. But for what I think was a 4-hour engagement, it's not catastrophic either. And they were just happy that we were finally there. So after apologizing profusely and very authentically for being delayed, said, okay, let's get started. Let's get this machine rolling. Let's do a thing. And I didn't know what we'd been hired to do exactly, but I'd pulled one of our standard events out of the hat because that usually works. And if there wasn't a specific agreement, then we could do that. And if there was, then they'd probably remind me what it was. We start handing out costumes and we start handing out weapons. And then Peter comes to me and says, Claus, we have a problem. I said, okay, another one. I thought we were good. Okay, so what's the problem? And I'm just going to turn off this. And he says, there are more than 80 kids, and we only brought 80 swords. I said, okay, big smile. We're still handing out things. I said, don't worry, I'll fix it. And he said, how are you going to fix it? You can't just magically conjure up more swords. Either you give a kid a latex sword so they can whack the other kids with it, or you don't. There's a finite number of swords. I said, don't worry, Peter, I've got it. It's like, okay, looking forward to see what this is. And then as we're handing out, I said, okay, now we've divided you into 4 teams, but before you all before we give everybody their weapons, I want to ask, is anybody up for being a magician? And you know, magicians, they get a magical ball, and I take one of the costumes and I just kind of rub it together so it looks like a very improvised ball of cloth. It's not elegant, but it works as a ball. I say, in one of these magic balls, if it hits somebody, you throw it at people, and if it hits one of the other players, one of the other kids, they're dead. It's like, oh, needless to say, if you got hit by a sword, you were also dead. So it wasn't that big of a thing, but it was different, and I hyped it. And then I asked, okay, but there's only room for 5 magicians on each team of 20. I said, okay, who wants to be a magician? Of course, the kids go, me. Hand out balls, get Jakob and Peter to help doing them. Peter's just standing there looking like, what just happened? Did this just work? And we're handing out them, and we end up kind of getting everybody in order. We run the event. Everybody's happy. The pedagogues and teachers, who are the adults kind of hiring us for the thing, thank us and say, oh, it's really nice to work with professionals, and said, we were a little bit worried when you were late, but you guys were just so good, and we were so happy. And I said, again, I'm sorry, that's really not cool of us to be late. It's my fault. There's no excuse there, but I'm really glad that you had patience with us. I'm glad you had a good day. And they said, yes, we had a really, really good day, and maybe we'll do something in the future. And then we drove home. And I let out a sigh, and I thought, not only do I not want to be caught in that situation again if I can help it, but also there were a couple of takeaways. And one of them was, so the takeaway is not, just for those of you who think the takeaway is not, don't know your stuff, don't plan, don't do anything, it'll work out fine. That is not the takeaway. The takeaway is when things go to hell, when it all looks crazy and it's like, we don't know what's happening, we have no chance. Yes, there's often where it's best to come clean and just say, this is how it is. But sometimes that's not the best place. Sometimes there's a chance to salvage it. And you do that by maximizing your odds. Because the fact that even though I didn't know what we were doing, I guessed and I planned for that. I didn't know where we were going, but I maximized the odds for us hitting the right place. I could have been wrong. I could easily have been wrong. But I tried to load the dice as well as I could. And when we were there, when we managed to get to the place against the odds, or maybe because of the odds were good, then when innovation was needed, when we didn't have what we needed, I came up with a solution that worked and that we then afterwards started using at other events, because we found out those magic balls, while they were just an improvised, oops, we got to solve this solution, they worked pretty well. And they became a standard fare at our events to give us more options and more flexibility. And I think it's very, very important to remember that when you're doing innovation, you are sometimes, and even if you're not doing innovation, sometimes innovation is thrust upon you. And there are these situations where you can choose to just give up and go home, or you can choose to try your best, and sometimes you get lucky. Now, I know it could have gone a lot worse. It really could have, but it didn't. And part of that is because we took a chance on it. Because I said that Tuesday evening at 9 o'clock, I said, damn, this is not good, but there's still a chance. And as one of my favorite movie characters, Han Solo, is fond of saying, never tell me the odds. I'm not exactly sure about that, but what I would say, instead would say, one thing is odds, another is trying to manipulate those odds. Thank you.